Okay, so today what we're going to do is have a look at the way alarm actually translates to our writing. Okay, so we're going to do a bit of an English lesson. As you would all remember, alarm works a little bit differently in English. In other subjects you might do a paragraph on each of our alarm terms: identify, describe, explain, analyse, critically analyse and evaluate. But in English we actually have to fit all of these things into the one paragraph. So it gets a bit squishy, okay? And we just focus on one sort of idea in each paragraph. So today we're going to be reading the short story you've all got in front of you, Death Speaks by Jeffrey Archer. And we'll be evaluating the effectiveness of the ending to the short story. Okay, so we'll read the story together. There was a merchant in Baghdad who sent his servant to market to buy provisions. And in a little while the servant came back, white and trembling, and said, "Master, just now when I was in the marketplace, I was jostled by a woman in the crowd, and when I turned, I saw it was Death that jostled me. She looked at me and made a threatening gesture. 'Now lend me your horse, and I will ride away from this city and avoid my fate. I will go to Samara, and there Death will not find me.' The merchant lent him his horse, and the servant mounted it. And he dug his spurs in its flanks, and as fast as the horse could gallop, he went. Then the merchant went down to the marketplace, and he saw me standing in the crowd. And he came to me and said, 'Why did you make a threatening gesture to my servant when you saw him this morning?' 'That was not a threatening gesture,' I said. 'It was only a start of surprise. I was astonished to see him in Baghdad, for I had an appointment with him tonight in Samara.'"
He did.
What's happened in the story?
Marty was the
The guy couldn't escape death no matter how hard he tried.
Okay, so no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't escape his fate. He couldn't escape death. That's the message they're trying to get across. Are there any other messages in the story?
Maybe trying to escape something will lead you into a scenario where you ultimately be faced with that.
Yeah, excellent. Or if you run away from problems, they're more likely to just follow you. That sort of idea. Excellent, Tom. Okay, so when we're looking at the actual ending and we're trying to decide whether it is effective, what sorts of things do you think we need to look for?
If it makes sense with the whole story?
Yeah, if it makes sense. Okay, if it ties up any loose ends. What is the purpose of a short story, do you think?
Give a story that's short.
Right.
To give morals.
Yeah, it might be to give morals. What else? Out of our three purposes in English, we have three main purposes. One is to persuade, to inform, and to entertain. Out of those purposes, which one would apply to this short story?
Entertain.
Entertain. Okay? So the idea of the story itself is to entertain. So in terms of our effectiveness, we're looking at whether it is actually entertaining, aren't we? Okay? We might also look at whether it gets the specific ideas across to us effectively, okay? Whether we can draw those ideas out, which I would say we probably could because we've already said what the ideas are, okay? So why would the ending in particular be entertaining?
Because it was a twist ending.
Excellent, okay? It is a twist ending, so that's where our identify comes in. Okay, we have a twist ending. Okay, so what we're doing here is just planning so that we can then write a whole paragraph, okay, using this alarm structure. So, twist ending. What did the twist ending look like?
Tried to escape death, then just went to where Death was expecting him to be.
Excellent, okay. So the servant tried to escape death, ended up where expected, okay? We can reword it when we put it in the paragraph. Alright, now I know in other subjects when you look at explain, you look at cause and effect. In English, you actually are looking at your evidence, so your examples, quotes from the text, and also your literary techniques. Okay, that's what comes into your explain. So, what techniques do they use, or an example, to give this twist ending? How is it actually created? Tom?
the man saying that he'll ride to escape, and then in the end it just said, I was expecting him to be there all along.
Okay, so is there a better word we can use for that? Harry?
Like, when I read it, it's like, the wording of it is in such a way that it's like, I'm only kind of getting it, so right at the end, I've got to think about it first and go back through the story to try and like get a hold on what the story's trying to tell me.
Okay, so there's a bit of subtlety in the contradiction at the ending. Can we say that? So can anyone kick out? No.
Made a threatening gesture.
Okay, so threatening gesture. Yep, anything else?
I will go to Samara where death will not find me.
I will go to Samara. Will not find me. So we've got a threatening gesture. Does that come under our subtlety or our contradiction, or both?
Subtlety.
Yeah?
Subtlety, because it's saying that it was as if death was trying to actually get him.
Yep.
When it wasn't.
Yeah. Okay, so what it is, it's subtlety to make death look horrible and menacing. Okay, but it actually is what leads up to our contradiction. Okay, because death in the end isn't actually that menacing, because death is actually surprised. Okay, so that might be our next quote, the start of surprise. Okay, and our last one, Tom?
I had an appointment with him tonight and tomorrow.
Perfect. I had an appointment with him tonight and tomorrow. When we look at analyse in English, we really want to look at the impact of whatever quotes or examples we've used on the audience. Were you surprised by the ending yourselves? Yeah? Okay, so the idea of a twist ending is to make us surprised, is it not? Okay, sometimes it adds a bit of humour. I found it quite funny. You guys obviously didn't. Okay. Alright, so from analyse, we've got surprise, so the audience was surprised and entertained. Okay, we also learned something from it, didn't we? What were the messages? What was the author trying to get across to us? Pat?
That you troubles and problems will always follow you.
Okay, so problems follow you, so don't try and run away. And what was the other one?
Just
Starts with an F.
Fate.
Fate. Good. Okay, so when we get up to our evaluation, and we've gone through all these things, they've used a twist ending, they've used subtlety and contradiction to create that twist ending, which surprised and entertained us as the audience, and also gave us an idea of some of these messages the composer was trying to get across. So when we get up to our evaluate, do we think the ending was effective in terms of getting those messages across and entertaining us?
No one got it.
I was satisfied and entertained.
I got it.
Yeah? So generally we were entertained. Once you got it, you were entertained?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we get those messages out of it? Yeah. I think so. They're on the board. Okay. So when we evaluate in English and we say how effective or to what extent, you actually need to put that in. You need to put the word effective in. So very effective, not at all effective. It was fairly effective but could be better. Okay, and then you would justify it. So we need to actually make that judgment. So we're going to do what we call a joint construction. So what that is we actually write the paragraph together. Okay, so if we just scroll up a little bit, we can read out the whole thing and just check that it actually makes sense. Alright, so the short story Death Speaks by Jeffrey Archer uses a twist ending to convey ideas and entertain. This twist ending occurs when the servant tries to escape and ends up where Death expects him to be. Archer uses subtlety, threatening gesture and contradiction. I will go to Samara where Death will not find me. However, Death had an appointment with him tonight in Samara, showing that the servant made to escape, but his fate was to meet Death in the desert. This twist surprised and entertained the audience. Through the text studied, it can be concluded that even if you try to run away from problems, they will follow you. The composer also conveys ideas about fate, that it is always going to happen and that you can't escape it. Therefore, the ending to this short story is very effective. Okay, now because we did the plan, we made sure that we had each of those things in there. Okay, that's really important because sometimes otherwise you'll skip over your analysis and critical analysis, which is really the meat of your text. Okay? The other thing is, who knows why we read over it again at the end? Matt?
To go through and see if there's anything needed to be corrected.
Yeah, so to edit it, make sure it makes sense, make sure it sounds okay, alright, because in English we don't want something we write to be a bit clunky, okay, because it's not going to be as effective. The text we write isn't going to be as effective as if it's nice and cohesive and it flows. Okay, does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Are you happy with this?
Indeed.
Wonderful.